So hello everyone and welcome back. I hope you had the time to talk to lots of the pictures and visit the posters. I went upstairs as well and there's some very interesting things up there. So if you didn't make it to the upstairs poster session in this coffee break, do make sure you get up there at lunch. Just to let you know, the Slido that we opened during Hugh's presentation for questions on our kind of procedures and some practical tips will be open until midday. I think most of the questions that have been submitted so far have been answered, but you do still have another half hour or so to get to those. People are asking for the Wi-Fi password. So the network is Hilton Honors Meeting, and the password is connect with a capital C @ and then uppercase DTBH. So if you want to get onto the Wi-Fi, that's how you get on there. I understand I can't see anything here because the stage lights are really bright, but I do understand there are quite a lot of people clustered at the back. There are lots of seats here at the front, so if you want literally a front row seat for the next set of pitches, do come forward. So we are going to carry on now with the pitches. And in this session, we'll be talking about biomarkers, clinical trials, and healthcare improvement. Again, I will be strict. The speakers have 5 minutes each. And I will warn you when you have 30 seconds left. And then when the time is up, a little bell will ring, and then you need to leave the stage. So on that note, I would like to invite Matthias Born from Philips for the first pitch of this session. We can give him a round of applause, yeah.
Yeah, welcome back, everyone. And thanks to the organizers also for giving me the opportunity to pitch our project proposal, which is basically on oral biomarkers for oral detection and monitoring of systemic disease. We have already started to build a consortium for the IHI 9. We were a little late with this, so we take now the next opportunity for the IHI 12, most likely the topic 1 call, to apply again with a proper consortium on that. The green button is here. Yeah, so what are the challenges and objectives? So diabetes, and many of you know that, of course, is a hidden crisis. 700 million people will be involved with this by 2045. And it's a growing silent pandemic. It's often undiagnosed until complications arise, so heart, kidney, and so on, oral also. And there is also a strong two-way link with periodontitis. So now I must also add that I'm representing Philips Oral Healthcare in particular as a part of the personal health organization in Philips. And we have a special interest here because periodontitis and diseases like cardiovascular disease or even other diseases play a very important role here. So in particular, the current tools rely on invasive and clinical-based blood tests, and we think that with saliva diagnostics, we can overcome a lot of hurdles. And in particular, if we look to the strong relation between periodontitis and diabetes or even pre-diabetes. So in the project, we aim basically to develop a validated salivary diagnostic platform for early non-invasive and large-scale detection of diabetes and periodontitis. And again, also pre-diabetes is involved here as well. And we believe that this innovation unites oral and systemic health, and it is also advancing precision prevention and personalized care. So we start from the left, we look for biomarker candidates basically, and then we assess and do the scoping of these, and then do an analytical platform development, a prototype development, and also very important, the clinical validation of it. And what we envision as an output is a real validated salivary diagnostic platform here. Yeah, there are a lot of outcomes and impact, and I don't want to go through all of the details, but most important for the patients, we think that early, painless, and home-based detection of diabetes and perio will be make a real difference for the patients, and it also empowers individuals through continuous non-invasive monitoring and personalized prevention. There are also a number of benefits for clinicians, easy to use, evidence-based diagnostic tools, but also it enhances the interdisciplinary collaboration between dental and medical worlds. This is also a challenge, of course, to bring the dental and medical records together and to look at the data, also with advanced AI statistical tools and so on. And we also support precision treatment and planning and the follow-up. And for the healthcare systems, we think, we promote preventive and predictive care. We reduce costly late-stage complications of diabetes and periodontitis. We think we enable also large-scale population screening with minimal infrastructure, and also the resource efficiency will be improved. And last but not least, for the EU, we strengthen the public health resilience through accessible technology-driven diagnostics. So we have a lot of expertise already in our consortium that we are still building up, and everyone here is invited to reach out to me or also my colleagues, clinical partners and also dentistry, industrial partners like oral health and assay development, and we are still missing a number of competencies like pharma partners, clinical partners, in particular on diabetes and hospitals. Point-of-care device engineering will be very relevant in this project, but also regulatory and health economics assessments. Patient organizations are also invited here, and of course professional organizations. Thank you for your attention.
You can go off that way. Okay, thank you very much. Another well-timed pitch, almost exactly 5 minutes. Next up, I'd like to invite Stefan Commons of IHI ICANN onto the stage, please.
Good morning. I want to thank IHI for giving us the opportunity to present our project idea. And we are now facing a rising burden of cardiometabolic diseases in a context of obesity pandemic, and patients at risk of developing this disease actually share many common risk factors, such as abdominal obesity, hyperlipidemia, increased glycemia, hypertension, and sedentary lifestyles. But they will display very different patient trajectories, with some that will develop diabetes and others that will develop either heart, liver, or kidney damage, including various neoplasms. There is therefore a need for more dynamic early disease markers closer to organ function to better identify patients at risk and in need of specific treatments. We are addressing topic 1 and topic 2 of call 12. We will focus on one of the topics once we have finished building the consortium with all the industry partners. And we are making the hypothesis that the dynamic interaction of liver and heart is central to patient discrimination, as shown by recent studies. By studying the so-called cardiohepatic axis, we think that we will provide first a multi-system mapping of patient-level cardiometabolic phenotypes, and second, by exploring the specific liver-heart mediators, that we should be able to identify novel specific biomarkers and therapeutic targets for MASLD, atrial cardiomyopathy, or cardiometabolic heart failure with preserved ejection fraction. And finally, we think that we will be able to qualify novel tools taking into account the individual exposure and closer to organ remodeling using, of course, imaging technology. We think that this project is suitable for IHI since we need an extensive public-private partnerships to study the cardiohepatic axis at various levels. So we will, of course, need pharma company that will provide clinical data from their placebo groups in clinical trials and also their drug target identification support. We will also need biomarkers company from in vitro diagnostic for blood signatures, but also medical devices to capture electric heart signal as well as medical imaging of the various organs. As well, also, we need IT and AI company to build a sustainable federated data infrastructure to be able to decipher these various cardiometabolic phenotypes. In terms of outcome and impact, in addition to a better understanding of cardiometabolic diseases, as well as the identification and qualification of novel biomarkers and tools, we will train the next generation of healthcare professionals, scientists, and patients to this new cardiometabolic medicine, which requires to rethink the traditional care pathways. The result of the project in terms of better, precise phenotyping should ensure that each patient receives a tailored pharmacotherapy. We already have a core of willing academic and SME partners coming from the various projects that IHI ICANN is involved in, such as Maestria, Litmus, Liveraim, Grip on Marsh, or Artemis, and we are already discussing with pharmaceutical companies to bring in-kind contribution, as well as IT and AI companies. So our REACH proposal is looking for a contribution in the range of 10 to 15 million euros, depending on the overall and all the disease area that we want to cover. And so don't hesitate to come by our poster in the hallway. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next up, we have Géraldine Fargeau from the Paris Brain Institute.
Hi, everyone. I'm Géraldine Fargeau from the Paris Brain Institute, Director of Innovation, and I will present today One Brain, our project to refine boundaries of brain diseases and accelerate therapeutic breakthrough through large precision brain cohort. So, with this One Brain project, we propose to address a game-changing initiative to address this massive challenge of the 21st century, which with brain diseases being the leading cause of disability and the second cause of death worldwide. Considering the technologies that are now available to understand deep characterization of brain function and powered by AI, we strongly believe that the main obstacle remaining before paradigm change in this field is the access to high-quality data. So data cohort and biobank exist across the globe, but they remain fragmented. They are not specific to neurology. They are rarely multimodal and not connected to health data. So we would fall with this project mainly under specific objective 2, also addressing also other specific objectives. And also our scope is very broad in terms of brain health. We may reduce it to neurodegenerative diseases if there is a need to be more specific. To accelerate therapeutic breakthrough, we propose a novel patient-centered research-based initiative at unprecedented scale in neurology that is inspired from what has been achieved in the oncology field. So we will create a large real-world trial-ready cohort with multimodal bioresources and connected to health data, covering the whole spectrum of brain disorder. So this will bring unprecedented resources for novel deep learning AI and foundation models dedicated to brain diseases. And it will nourish ambitious research program to redefine brain disease endotype and underlying biological mechanism and deliver, therefore, biomarkers and validated targets for drug discovery. So this real-world, hospital-based and trial-ready cohort will also have a direct capability to improve patient care. This initiative perfectly fits to this IHI consortium, addressing a major health challenge of this century. It is cross-sectoral by nature, and it cannot be achieved without a strong public and private partnership. This initiative will also enhance Europe's competitiveness in this strategic field that is neurology. Our proposal will produce a first-of-its-kind large, longitudinal, recallable, and interoperable cohort and associated bioresources dedicated to brain diseases, leveraging genetics, multiomics, neuroimaging, and neurophysiological profiling. We will be able to accelerate biomarker and drug discovery powered by AI and to improve the diagnosis and the patient stratification. We will also deliver a platform for swift implementation of innovative clinical trial designs, supporting the development of precision brain health strategies. The integration of prevention and therapeutic strategies will develop competitiveness of EU in this strategic field, supporting both innovation in health industry and sustainable care to reduce the burden of brain diseases. So we are a leading private research foundation dedicated to brain health, affiliated with a research academic institution in France and with the Greater Paris Hospital. Our teams are working across fundamental and translational research, and our models interestingly bring together patients, clinicians, researchers, and industry partners. We have the capability to implement large cohorts and international partnerships, as well as strong innovation focus. And we are looking mainly for pharma and biotech companies for drug development, and health tech companies as well for biomarker and fluid and digital imaging biomarker.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, go figure off that way. And next up and last in the group of pitches with a kind of biomarker focus, we have Daniel Schoben from Salvia Bioelectronics. Okay, there you go.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It's morning still. Good morning. To the microphone, can you hear me like this? Okay. Good morning. My name is Daniel Schoben, and I will present to you the REVEAL project proposal today, which is all about revealing how neurological conditions just...
Sorry to interrupt you. Can you raise the microphone so it's more adjusted to your
Adjusted
height
to
so
my
that we
height.
can hear you?
Is it better like this?
Is that better?
Yes?
Okay. Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
So to reveal the mechanism of actions related to migraine and cluster headache to better manage disease. So everybody will be familiar with migraine. 1 in 7 people have migraine during their lives. It's the biggest disabling disease for people under 50s. We are targeting specifically chronic migraine. Those patients in that category have 18 migraine days per month, every month. So every week, 4 days being in bed, throwing up ill, typically young women 20 to 50 years old. Cluster headache is less known to most of you, perhaps. It's a rare disease also called suicide headache, mostly affecting men. And the intensity of the pain is such that on the pain scale, mild, moderate, severe, very severe, the end of my pain scale is level 2, hitting my nail blue with a hammer. Level 3 is worse than a difficult delivery, so giving birth of the worst kind. I cannot begin to imagine what that would be like. Level 4 is worse than amputation without anesthesia. So take off my arm without any sedation would be a pain that you would prefer over level 4 cluster headache attack. And also there we target specifically the chronic population who have 6 to 8 attacks like this every day and suffering like 20 to 30 minutes per attack. So this is all very bad, of course, but the good news is there's a lot of innovation in both pharma and medtech for these patients. So from pharma, we've seen the anti-CGRPs, the G-pens and other therapies coming out quite recently. For medtech, I started Salvia in 2018 to develop a paper-thin neurostimulation device that can be implanted just under the skin in 10 minutes in the forehead and in the back of the head to electrically massage the nerves that you would massage if you would have a headache. And we are clinical stage. We see our first patient was a cluster headache patient who had 76 attacks in the 2 weeks baseline, so 6 attacks per day, level 3, level 4 exclusively. And she's now with our therapy for 2 years and has less than 2 attacks per month, and it's only mild. We see similar outcomes for chronic migraine patients. Now, this is not a silver bullet therapy, same for pharma, it's all complementary, and you need to understand which patients benefit best from which therapies and how to dose those therapies also. So why is this suitable for IHI? This we cannot do by ourselves. So it cannot be done by pharma exclusively. It cannot be done by academic hospitals by their own who do mechanism of action research. So we really need to team up to have access to sufficient patient population and find out which objective biomarkers we can use to better guide on the use of therapy. So what will come out of the REVEAL project? It will provide objective biomarkers like smartwatch data, skin sensitivity, and other elements that may relate to disease activity over the cycles of the day, the month, and the year. And based on that, we can better advise which therapy to use, but also how to use this therapy. So in this way, we translate research results into innovations and also put Europe at the forefront of this, because this is really new across the globe. So what we are looking for is pharmaceutical companies that have an interest in migraine and cluster headache, as well as academic hospitals that have an interest in mechanism of action research, and then also all the other links like we've seen in the other pitches, like IT, patient record systems, AI, etc., that can complement either in this project or link to other projects. I do not have a poster, yet I'm very tall, so you can easily spot me over the coffee or over lunch. I did reserve a room, so just after lunch, if you come up to the first floor at 2 o'clock on your right-hand side, that room is reserved if you're interested to engage in the discussion. I look forward to work with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And again, if you want to use those rooms, they are available. They're on the first floor. And there's a whiteboard where you can reserve your name. So well done for taking the initiative and booking one for yourself there. If anyone else wants to use them, they are there for you. We move on now to pitches with a strong healthcare improvement component. And first up, we have Christian Mulendick from Johnson & Johnson.
Hello and good morning, everyone. I'm here to present to you a project which I think is absolutely exciting and where I'm inviting you to join us with. It's about developing a pathway for early lung cancer treatment pathway optimization. And why do I think it's absolutely fascinating? A, it addresses a super high unmet clinical need. B, we really want to build the project on the basis of existing resources, both from clinical society, but also from previous IHI investments. And C, it's there to last. We see the IHI funding opportunity as a great opportunity to get an initial investment, build the infrastructure together, and then have this to last. Where are we coming from? Why do we think this is a very big unmet clinical need? If you look at the prediction till 2035, the EU predicts doubling of cancer if nothing is done. If you look into lung cancer, this is increasing significantly. The variations are there, and also the treatment opportunities are increasing significantly, and there's a clear need for a standardized approach. If you look then in the green table, the earlier identified lung cancer is, the more curable it gets, or the more larger the longevity is. So how can we go towards that direction? There's a lot done and amazing developments done in order to go and travel towards that direction. If we look into Europe, but across the world, more and more screening programs are getting established as we speak. And these screening programs identify citizens at risk with lung cancer and identify lung cancer. The amazing outcomes that we see now with these citizens that are suddenly identified with lung cancer, actually early lung cancer patients. So if we go thought-wise back to the last slide, these are patients with a much higher opportunity for longevity. However, up until now, the treatment pathways for such patients are not clearly defined, they're not standardized, they have not been aligned throughout Europe. They vary greatly because up until now, most of these patients are identified through coincidence. Someone breaks their ribs, gets a lung thorax or something, and suddenly there's something coming from there, and these people then have the benefit to be treated early and have the opportunity to live long. So what do we want to do? We really want to, we really want to focus not on the screening, but leveraging what comes from screening, and that population is going to increase significantly over the next years, to really focus on how is the treatment optimized for these patients in order to enable these patients that are identified with early lung cancer to get the best treatment possible. There will be a continuous involvement, so we really want to start with this, set the baseline, and then continue to involve and develop on that basis to say, how are people treated today? That will probably or most likely vary significantly 5, but definitely in 10 years from now. So our approach is what we would like to do together with you to review the current guidelines, see what makes sense, where to take things forward, leverage existing data from the clinical societies. So for example, the European Respiratory Society is highly involved already in a lot of our work. We have got the European Cardiothoracic Society on board as well. They have a lot of data already that can now be brought together, and we want to leverage an infrastructure through the IDERA project that is focusing on the lung cancer already to see how can more and more data be brought together to get a really, really broad database, to then be able to focus on the data and see how that can be implemented and taken forward. We believe this has huge benefits for patients, for citizens, and for the whole healthcare system. And I think with that database, this will be a really good resource for further research and development and enhance the clinical practice in Europe. What do we require? Lung cancer treatment diagnostic experts, clinical real-world evidence generation experts and guideline experts, regulatory policy experts and sustainable planning and implementation experts, and so on. Budget 40 to 60, duration 40 to 60 months, duration 5 years. We've got Professor Melfi already on board. She is one of the leading cardiothoracic surgeons in Europe. And we, as J&J MedTech, would like to lead the project, and we are really looking forward to bringing you together. It's the last slide, yeah? Yeah. And we want industry partner with expertise and interest in that field of pulmonary lung cancer treatment, and obviously patient organizations, academics, and so on, to make this a lasting approach that we are not standing alone, but really set the basis thanks to IHI, and then hand this over in a long-lasting implementation so that we can all benefit from it in the long term. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Christian. And next up, also from Johnson & Johnson, we have Clint Davis.
Hello, I'm Clint Davis. I am director of our digital innovation at Johnson & Johnson. Really excited to bring to you a project today called Socrates, or Surgical Outcomes Classification, Risk Assessment, and Targeted Enhancement System. We're here today not only as a med tech organization, but as a community, because we're drivers of change. We want to shape the future of healthcare. As a healthcare community, we impact almost every patient on this earth at some point in their lives. Yet, also as a community, we lack or lag significantly in the way that we use data. Data collection for analytics, leveraging data for decision making. And there's many reasons for this. Many of the projects that I've been able to listen to today are addressing some of these issues, like data collection, retrospective studies, evidence generation. But there's limitations with this type of data generation. One, they're very costly, and there's a considerable amount of time that is needed to produce data. There's also another primary reason, and that is that clinicians globally lack a standardized way of evaluating surgical outcomes. Someone in Brussels compared to a surgeon in Berlin may look at the exact same outcome from a surgical operation and classify it or record it differently. Not only that, we don't have a connected system in which we can start to analyze this data. So simply said, we don't have a common language in which we can evaluate and start to build trends with surgical outcome data. At Johnson & Johnson, we're one of the largest medtech organizations in the world. We are in 7 out of 10 surgeries globally. We impact over 300 million patients a year. We're in a position to support substantial change from a healthcare environment because we're present. But we need support to do that. From our position, we've been able to bring together a community of thought leaders in 23 countries over 40 surgeons to create a new surgical classification system that will allow us to objectively measure and record surgical outcomes. We've been able to do this by partnering with healthcare communities, but we also need support, and that's why this is a perfect project to position for IHI. What we're seeking within this project is 4 functional work streams. The first is really focused within academia. We've made significant progress in this space by developing this classification system that's globally recognized, that is able to be clinically validated, and we have strong academic support. We have Amsterdam University Medical Centers that is our primary academic lead with Prof. Mara Bormeister at the head, in which we will begin to develop multinational, multi-center trials to validate this new surgical classification system clinically. We also need additional surgical partners. If anyone has been involved in a classification system in the past, if you consider things like TNM's cancer staging, it takes a considerable amount of effort in a large community to globalize something like this. So we need additional surgical and academic support. Beyond that, we need industry partnership. We can't do this on our own. Today, we're a medtech surgery company. There's many other places within the perioperative process, preoperative care, intraoperative surgery, and then postoperative support that we are, quite frankly, not as invested in. And we need support to standardize and spread this system. So we're looking for industry support in the digital and patient engagement pathway space. If you think about electronic health records, electronic medical records, they vary significantly, especially within Europe. Many different systems use many different systems. So it becomes hard for us to use data consistently across these. We need support to connect this data stream. Finally, we need support in different industry partners from biometrics and data collection. We want to get to a place in which we can collect data from the patient in as near real time as possible. So if you think about biometric devices, even devices from smart devices like a watch or a ring that could collect patient data. We're looking to analyze, process, and begin to build statistical models, large language models, and generative AI so that we can connect surgical care to the outcomes the patient receives. In another word, if you think about where you play within this, from products, regulatory, connecting this to the outcome the patient receives in an objective way, whether that outcome is positive or negative. We hope that you'll join us. If you have more questions, if you're interested, please reach out to myself, Clint Davis, or Tom Stacy. You can see our contact information on the slide, and appreciate your time. Cheers.
Can you bring, is the clicker still there? I think the clicker may have, I don't see the clicker on the lectern. Just a reminder, we do have, there's a good 10 seats on the first row alone, so if there's anyone at the back, don't be shy, come forward and quite literally take a front row seat. Next up, I'm going to invite Marcin Balczyk from the BioAraba Health Research Institute. I don't know if the clicker is that on top there, do you see it? Is on top of the lectern? There it is, good. Yeah, there you go, you're good.
My name is Marcin Balczyk. I represent BioAraba Health Research Institute in Spain, in Basque Country. I'm also Iker Basque Research Professor. Oops. I wanted to present you the project of dose verification in proton therapy Vivid Pro, and just try to imagine that you are a medical physicist or radiation oncologist, and in just one of the sessions or on therapy, the patient received just 20% of what was prescribed to him, let's say in any drugs. For the moment, in proton therapy, these people can really sleep soundly because there is not such a tool to detect such discrepancy. It can happen even if the positioning of the patient was okay, even if there was no failure of equipment. I have seen such cases, and they can be done for the moment for photon radiotherapy. PTW dosimetry does such a systems, and for proton therapy, there is nothing like that. We think we integrate in topic 2, integrated and fragmented research, as there are many research going on this subject, and none of them reached the medical device level. High burden is because, like, at least for that 50% of patients on proton therapy are children. So just imagine that if the therapy fails, we are losing like 50 years of life of these people. Our approach is to check the dose via production of fluorine-18 in positron-emitting tomography, because these patients get radioactive when they are irradiated with protons. So you can do it. The challenge here is the very low activity concentration, like 100 to 1,000 times less what is being used normally in PET. So it requires a specialized PET scanners without lutetium, like BGO ones, which are on the market, but they are not for that really done. What we concentrate is head and neck, and especially glioma treatments, where the survival rate is about 20%. So this will available adaptive protocols. I hope we will increase survival rate. So why is it suitable? Because we need a collaboration with PET scanners producing companies to adopt their scanners, to integrate it into software. We have collaboration already with leading producer of software to design these treatments, research labs, and we will integrate hospitals on our part. We have collaboration with developers of PET systems. So the outcome is definitely accurate in vivo dose verification. So we'll produce also hopefully certified CE scanners for that. We'll ensure translation and in competitiveness, because producers of PET scanners in Europe is Philips. There is Siemens, but they produce it in United States. There's a GE Healthcare, which is generally US-based. So hopefully we'll improve this in Europe. There will be definitely patient benefits, because I hope this will improve survival rate and quality of these treatments. What we have expertise in medical image and instrumentation. This method is already filed for the patent with this number. You will not see it because it was filed just in April. But this is the number to follow. We have expertise in clinical research and medical physics, software integration. We have the PET scanner prototype being built for that in Valencia, in Spain. We have a lot of simulation data already, which are quite convincing, preclinical models and clinical infrastructure. So what we need is some clinical trial management, because we hope to develop a big clinical trial where the proton therapy centers, which will have these new PET scanners, which would like to participate. This would be across Europe or the world. We need a collaboration from resources with proton therapy centers, which are really willing to collaborate. Some software development support, and of course some dissemination for that. So additional information, this is patent filed, which may be interesting for companies, and we have a publication preprint for that method in general. So contact me in the afternoon. I will reserve the room. Vivid Pro, Marcin Balcerzek, Biaraba. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next we have Frauke Christ from KU Leuven and University Hospitals Leuven.
Hello. I hope it's fine like this. Shouldn't it start? Yeah. Now it's faster. Can you go to the first slide? It's somehow...
Could we just get this presentation back to the first slide?
Yeah.
It's on the screen now. And restart the clock then. Okay, brilliant. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Sorry. I'm here to present our project TransLung. TransLung is a project which is in the field of lung transplantation, and you might know that lung transplantation, in comparison to other organ transplantations, is still associated with a much lower or much worse outcome. What we want to do in TransLung is we want to develop a technology platform to improve the outcome of lung transplantation, and that we do by reducing the immune reaction during the transplantation process. We want to challenge the critical IRI and graft rejection reactions. We do that by, on one side, identifying new therapeutic targets to reduce these reactions and biomarkers, and then integrating this knowledge into a technology platform where we perform ex vivo modulation of the lung in order to improve the organs for the acceptor of the transplantation. In order to solve this problem, we have set up a consortium which can cover different pillars around this technology. So the central technology is the ex vivo lung perfusion technology, which you see here in the center of the slide. We have all the expertise on board to do biomarker discovery and identify on basis of our big cohorts, patient cohorts, and biobanks of lungs targets. Then we have expertise on board with gene therapy and delivery tools, viral vectors, viral-like particles, and so on, and can deliver all kind of modalities to target the immune system. And then third, we have a full pillar set up in order to perform this technology from organoids to organ-on-chip platforms, but also then in animal models and the lung. Why are we suitable for IHI? We believe we are very suitable for this funding because this entire project is really built on transsectorial collaboration. And we need, on one side, the industrial partners, where we need big pharma industry, but also medical devices industry and digital health industry, AI, and so on, diagnostics. And on the other side, we need the clinical centers of excellence, which is also the coordinating team, which is one of the leading transplant surgeons in the field of lung transplantation, the experts on the viral vectors and delivery part, but also the experts when it comes to disease mechanisms and identifying these biomarkers. The outcomes and impacts are very broad and multifactorial because on one side we expect to have improved outcomes for the patients on the lung transplantations, but also to understanding the immune reaction better in the lung, which goes beyond the initial target, because this will also have an impact on other lung diseases, chronic lung diseases, but it also has a further implication when it comes to transplantation of other organs. We also believe that we can, with this project, position within the EU our knowledge at the forefront when it comes to transplantation medicine and understanding the immunity of the lung. And as I already said, for the patient, this has a big impact, as we will be able to increase the 5-year survival rate after transplantations. We have already quite a lot of expertise and resources on board. So our consortium, as I said, is led by UZ Leuven, so one of the leading clinical centers in this field. We have very big biobanks also available, which will enable the biomarker discovery and diagnostics. We also have already ATMP specialists available in our consortium, specialists working on the animal models and on the organ-on-chip models. We have a medical device company on board, some AI and omics specialized towards immune omics, and also are already in contact with large pharma, but we definitely still need to complement our consortium, in particularly with diagnostics and large pharma. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And next, I would like to invite Jakob Veldfors Christensen from De Factum to give his pitch, please.
Hello. Let's see. My name is Jakob, and I'm from De Factum, a public health research center that is part of Central Denmark region. In De Factum, we work where policy research and healthcare practice meet, translating healthcare research into public health improvements. So CareMap is our proposal for topic 3, and our vision is simple but ambitious: to map and connect people-centered integrated care pathways across Europe's regions to create scalable integrated care solutions that work with the very actors who later procure and implement them, Europe's regional health authorities. Across Europe, we all face the same problem: fragmentation between hospitals, primary care, community services, etc. Patients experience this as disjointed care, clinicians as an inefficient system, and companies as complex markets. Regions like ours are in the front line of solving this. We plan, we procure and implement services, but we often lack shared evidence and validated models to do so at scale. And too often we are not involved early enough in the process. So that's where CareMap comes in. CareMap brings regions together not only as real-world testbeds, but as key actors in implementation and procurement. By mapping the existing integrated care models and combining social and clinical data, and co-designing solutions with the industry, we can show how people-centered care actually works in practice across full health systems. To make integrated care real, we need both system reform and technological innovation. Public partners like Central Denmark Region and other regional actors bring the system perspective, policy, general governance, data governance in particular, implementation and evaluation, whereas industry, of course, brings digital, analytical, and technological muscle to make it happen. In CareMap, this collaboration happens at the pre-competitive level, where ideas can still be bold, and the focus is on value for patients and systems. Together, these partnerships ensure that innovation responds to real patient and system needs and not just theoretical ones. CareMap will deliver 3 main outcomes: a European mapping of existing people-centered care pathways, a validated framework, and digital tools for patient needs stratification and pathway design, and then, of course, regional testbeds that prove scalable, transferable models. This helps regions strengthen system resilience and equity, and it helps companies accelerate the journey from research and development to adoption by co-creating solutions that are implementation ready in the regional healthcare systems. And well, there we go. There we didn't go, did we? Well, I'll waffle on. Here we go. As mentioned, Diverse Unity is an applied health research and innovation unit that is part of Central Denmark Region, and we focus on public health broadly. We work across the full chain, from identifying barriers to implementation to evaluating real-world outcomes. And we work quantitatively, qualitatively, from an organizational perspective, policy perspective, healthcare professionals research, health economics analysis, and we look at intersectional patient pathways. We are currently co-leading a work package with Johnson & Johnson in the IHI project IDERA. Christian mentioned it earlier, and we're focusing on data-driven patient access and decision support. In CareMap and in other projects in this call, we can bring the same experience translating between policy, data, and practice to ensure solutions are usable by clinicians, trusted by patients, and adoptable by systems. So we're looking to partner with industry. We're looking to partner with industry actors who want to collaborate to co-develop scalable, evidence-based solutions and test them in real health systems. As mentioned, regions like ours are not just your test beds, we are your future implementers and procurers. So find me here on the platform, or at the Eureka poster right outside almost, and let's have a chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another perfectly timed pitch there. Next up, we have Naomi Nathan from Mobility Medical Goes Additive.
So yeah, thank you. And good afternoon, everyone. And I'm here to present Bridge AM. I'm Naomi Nathan. I head the medical division for Mobility Medical Goals Additive. It's an international technological network bringing together different stakeholders, and I will put this mic down now, to look at how additive manufacturing, which is 3D printing, is helping on also making sure that patients get access to care. So what is Bridge AM? The idea of this network is, this whole project was that we need to build real-world insights, because a lot of us might probably not know that there are a lot of applications with 3D printing that will make patients' lives better in terms of personalized manufacturing, in terms of cost effectiveness, and in terms of trying to just get the right fit for implants. So what is the problem we're trying to address? In my network, I've seen a lot of hospitals, a lot of different stakeholders come up with really brilliant 3D printed applications, but the problem in Europe I've seen is that there is not a standardized pathway, or there is not even a collection of real-world evidence that shows that 3D printing is the right intervention. So we have different research that is showing that there is improvement in time for surgical operations, there is improvement in cost effectiveness, but we need to collect this data to be able to get towards maybe reimbursement pathways, which I will further explain. So this leads to the fragmentation of value assessments, because hospitals do not really understand, okay, how do we do this from a whole concerted level? And there is the problem of the making informed decision and adoption of 3D printing. Finally, this whole uncertainty around this lack of evidence. You know, when you have evidence, you have power, you can make better decisions. And then looking at also the long-term impact. So the whole idea of this project, actually, and after talking to a lot of my colleagues, we decided that it will focus on topic 2, is bringing together this fragmented evidence and putting it to see how do you make a decision from the clinical design all the way to the implant or prosthetics in a patient for used by 3D printing. So what am I proposing? I am proposing a whole comprehensive European real evidence ecosystem that will be for evaluating personalized medical devices produced through additive manufacturing. And how do we better integrate it into the healthcare system? Because today we heard about like the FDA doing better, and it's quite true, because some of my companies end up moving to the US because they have clearer pathways to follow, and we would like this innovation to stay in Europe and also impact European healthcare systems. So of course we project this to be a 48-month project that will look at capturing the complete value chain from digital design, as I said, to the point of care production, to even seeing how the long-term clinical impact outcomes for 3D printed use cases or medical devices will be. And why this project is actually suitable is because we can't do it alone. I mean, we have a network of 140 members, and we still see that we need the medtech companies, we need more research, we need evidence-based collection, we need health economics to put together this whole evidence to be able to even talk about reimbursement in Europe and also see where the clear value add is. So, as I mentioned, this is really about getting concrete results of what works with 3D printing. I actually identify 5 use cases to start with, from craniomaxillofacial surgery, so medical devices, trauma care, and also looking at prosthetics. Interesting enough, last week the US just made prosthetics, 3D printed prosthetics as a fabricated pathway for reimbursement. So I was sad that they did that first, but we have some time, we can catch up. And I would say what we need is really this medical device companies coming together to work with us, but also the rest of the patient organization to also see the impact and be able to push this forward. Finally, from my side, I will just say our mission is really to bring together real use cases that work to ensure that patients are able to access the right care. So whether it's custom-made implants, whether it's prosthetics, and whether it's just a device that works well for the patient anatomy, we will be able to showcase this with this project. So, and finally get to reimbursements. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Off that side. If you could go off that side. Yeah. Thank you. So last up in the healthcare improvement cluster, we have Karol Tezar of Czech Technical University in Prague.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me, and let me share with you a dream of me as a scientist, that I can take my biodegradable medical implants and somehow use them to benefit all of society in Europe. So, because there are a lot of problems with permanent implants, mainly the secondary surgeries. They consume time of surgical teams, increase healthcare costs, and lower patient comforts. Especially for children and older people, they suffer the most from another stay at the hospital. And moreover, hypersensitivity reactions are a big problem. And we have a solution for that. For instance, after osteotomies, we can use magnesium screws, and it's a norm. But the more complex solutions we come up with, the bigger the problems they are. Here, as an example, we can devise magnesium-based wires and strands for sternal fixation. That is quite complex. So on the other hand, we can aim for hand reconstructive surgery. But that brings us to the fractured approach to the problem, because adoption of these radically new technologies is too uncertain for the industry. And the pathway to market and the certification is way too hard and way too expensive for universities. And don't let me start on the class 3 biomedical devices. And we need all these people to work together efficiently. So our naive idea of how to do it, let's take a medical device made from magnesium that is, well, not worth the money revenue-wise, and do it pre-competitively and jointly. So, but it has to somehow affect quite an important group of patients. Manufacture the pilot implant prototype and distribute it within the consortium to all partners. And start EU-wide parallel development and discussion, formulate regulatory strategy, and prepare for the next stage. And within the next stage, after 2 years, let's fix the design. And we fix the design, let's just go to a superior implant prototype and perform all these cytocompatibility and all these in vivo and in vitro tests. So ideally, after 5 years, we have a new implant in the first in-human trials. But that's not the best output. The best output is that now the consortium partners can gain the experience, have the experience, and start the competitive follow-up projects. So, are we suitable? Well, we need private-public partnerships, because universities don't have the capital and the experience to push to market, and industry can't afford to dig deep for really new and groundbreaking solutions. We need different industry sectors. We need medical device manufacturers to get our supply chains to be able to manufacture the prototype. We need AI and digital pathology, because there are new challenges in magnesium and zinc implant development that are different from the permanent implants. We need SMEs in modeling and data handling and regulatory bodies and lawmakers. So the outcome is that we, the researchers and SMEs, gain the experience in class 3 development, and we can actually start with the startups and stuff. And we do the networking, and we have this framework how to get a class 3 device to the market. And specific feedback is given to the regulatory bodies, which is important, because sometimes the problem is that they require the same thing from the hand reconstructive surgery and from the sternal fixation. And the problem is that it is not the same. So, an impact, a much needed implant is created that would not be pursued otherwise. And we are quite a large academic consortium already, but we are in a dire need of industrial partners and SMEs. So thank you very much for your attention, and I will be around to discuss.
Thank you, Carol. You will be happy to know it's almost time for lunch, but first we have 2 pitches with a strong clinical trials component. So I would like to invite Darius Adamczewski of the Children's Tumor Foundation Europe to give the first pitch in this section, please.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's difficult to be between you and the lunch, but I will do my best. So I represent Children's Tumor Foundation, the patient foundation that is dedicated to patients with neurofibromatosis, and would like to present a platform that should and will, I'm sure, speed up and make more efficient clinical trial landscape in Europe. So NF is a rare disease, group of rare diseases, tumor predispositions, that impact around 300,000 people in Europe. So it's rare, but not that rare. And when you read in my presentation NF, please think rare disease, because in between submission of the presentation and today, we have interests of more rare disease organizations that expressed as well their willingness to join the consortium. So the platform may end up with more rare disease related solutions in it. What we observe, the challenges we observe in Europe is, of course, huge fragmentation of research landscape, and especially in rare disease area when we have scattered patient populations as well between countries, different care standards. It's very difficult for the industry to run clinical trials in Europe, and we observe this imbalance between EU and US. And although we collaborate with the industry in drug discovery, preclinical research, which is mostly based in Europe, then clinical development happens in the US. And of course, we would like to solve it, not only for EU competitiveness, but for European patients as well. So what we plan to build is a pan-European trial platform that is continuation of IMI project called EU Pearl that delivered NF1 adaptive platform basket master protocol. Then central coordination hub with harmonized standard procedures, the hub that can step up in the role of legal sponsor of trials that will support from regulatory ethics point of view and all the common solutions that may happen before the trial really starts. Then we would like to build on existing solutions as well, the interoperable data platform. And kind of a side effects of the project can be care harmonization, implementation of ERN delivered standards, and of course building capacity, trainings, twinning mentorships between centers to really level up standard of care and clinical trial capacity in Europe. Of course, the project needs, we cannot do this alone. So as most of the projects today, we need to team up and we need multi-stakeholder collaboration. So what we would like to deliver is operational multi-country NF and rare disease trial platform, registry, care harmonization, and trial toolkits and capacity. What we already have, it's a know-how. So EU Pearl IMI project delivered not only the trial protocol, but complete work package with the toolkits ready to implement. We also have an extensive experience as CTF in US. We ran NF2 adaptive basket platform trials. We have patient registry, which is not clinical registry, but contact registry, but still some platform ready to start, and clinical care networks, regulatory capabilities. And we also started already mapping the landscape in Europe. Yeah, what we need is engagement of pharma, biotech, medtech industry to deliver, of course, their products ready to be tested, to proof of concept, test them, but also as well all the capacity, that means regulatory, drug development, and digital interoperability data sharing. So I encourage you to contact me later on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Darius. And it's an important point you made. It's interesting to hear that the proposal has evolved since it was even submitted for a pitch. So again, if you see something interesting in the pitches that we're seeing here today and you think, hey, maybe I can add something to this or bring something that wasn't necessarily listed, don't hesitate to go and contact the pitchers. We're still in the early stages of this call. It won't be launched, as you and Niklas mentioned, till early next year. So now is the time to really think and brainstorm and start building things. So the last pitch before lunch is Daniel Aletaja from the Medical University of Vienna. If you'd like to come to the stage.
Thank you. I was worried you were already giving your concluding remarks. Last one before lunch, maybe even better than first one after lunch. So thank you for having me here. To give you a rather high-level overview of what I believe is quite an ambitious project to unify Europe's clinical, parentheses, trial research ecosystem for faster access to innovation. And maybe start with a provocative note that Europe is indeed, if you look at some of the facts, losing grounds in medical innovation. You can see some numbers here, how global trial numbers increase, but Europeans' share in these trials goes down, and in some areas even dramatically. We know that everyone who does trials knows that it's always a problem to recruit patients into trials. 80% of the trials do in fact late, and 11% of trial sites even don't include a single patient. Why is this? There's several reasons. Patients are hesitant. Trialists don't get access to patients on different levels, on the personal level, on the communication level, but also on the reach level. There's a lot around the trial governance, ethics, and data rules. Some people would call it bureaucracy, but that's what goes along with trials, and it's an intrinsic part of trials, but also a big screw that you can turn to improve trials. And of course, Europe has the power of excellence in many of their sites, but sites suffer from several challenges, some of which are listed here as well. And the EU, in fact, did react. There was the ACT-EU, the Accelerating Clinical Trials in the EU platform or activity that is policy-driven, guided by the European Commission and the EMA to harmonize rules, guidance, and trainings. Well, disappeared. Screen just went off, sorry, and create multi-stakeholder platforms. Now, the objectives of our project is to build exactly on that and to really bring what ACT-EU on the policy level is proposing to real life, to be an implementation engine on all the different areas that I mentioned already, and to maximize the synergy between public and private partnership, policy level, industry, academic level, wherever trials come from. And this can be done through different streamlined operational governance or site capacity and training gaps that needs to improve, to overcome the gaps, integrate data and privacy silos, and I think most importantly, access to patients, improving recruitment. So I'm listing here some of the work packages that we developed to cover this. And you can see it's workforce and site capacity building, recruitment and patient engagement, engage networks around centers, not just outpatient clinics of university hospitals, big work package on data interoperability. And of course, to bring it short to 3 different areas, 2 work packages dealing with model agreements, joint ethics and readiness upgrades, then 2 work packages on improving recruitment, and 2 work packages trying to deal with the data interoperability. Why now? I'm going over this quite quickly, but there is definitely time for Europe now with the excellence in Europe and with policy problems in other parts of the world. I'm not going into much more detail in this. There is, of course, if anyone in the room doesn't consider themselves to be a stakeholder for this activity, I believe everyone is in one or the other way. This is the summary of how we think that we can act as implementation force for the different ACT-EU activities. And to just let you know who's on board already, we have trial networks, we have industry partners and regulators, ethical committees. What we need is industry and academics who want to actually pilot the trials in the network, and of course also macroeconomic perspective, okay, and patient advocacy groups beyond the ones that we have in my field of rheumatology. And sorry for being 20 seconds over.
That's okay.
It was my joke in the beginning.
Okay.
Thank you.
You done? Thank you very much. I will add as well, I mean, a lot of the speakers had a lot of information on the slides. The slides, I think, are already on the platform, and certainly they will be after the event, and also on the IHI website, along with the recordings of all these sessions. So if you missed something, you can catch up there, and otherwise I'm sure everyone who delivered a pitch would be more than happy to give you some more information afterwards. It's time for lunch. We have 1.5 hours, so please be back here by 2:15, and lunch is in the Grand Restaurant if we're doing it in French, which is just back up the corridor on your right. So enjoy your lunch, do lots of networking, and bon appétit.